What's up? Happy Friday. Welcome to I Just Want to Know.
Yo.
Shooting from Higher Power Studio. Shout out to Gary Higher.
Gary Higher.
How you doing this morning, Karmel?
I'm good, man.
Good,
I'm
good.
It's a good Friday. It's a wet Friday out there.
It is. It is.
Unexpectedly.
Unexpectedly.
Yeah, because I know it rained Wednesday, and everyone was ready for that, and then all of a sudden it rained again. I think someone has a switch.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody's out there just like, no one's got jackets on today. Bam.
But you know the great thing
Let's
about
make it rain.
California, though, is you can at least predict the rain when it's going to happen like 4 days ahead at a time.
Yeah, if you're paying attention.
That's true. That's true.
But most people are in their phones, so they're not paying attention.
So speaking of rain and all of a sudden it's raining or expecting rain.
Yeah.
So Washington Post just recently came out with an article that's saying that the divorce rate is now at 50%.
It's now at 50%.
It's now at 50%, which
Okay.
I feel like it's been 50% for a
always thought
while.
yeah.
But it's officially at 50%, obviously based on the survey. But I just want to know, Karmel, what do you think about that number? Is it too high, too low? Is it just right? And what's your perception of why it's at that number?
I think the number is right where it's supposed to be. Because honestly, it's a crapshoot. It's really 50-50. I mean, people might say that's high, but I think because we want to be in belief that people marry the person they're supposed to marry. But oftentimes they don't. I think a lot of times people marry someone out of obligation, out of convenience, out of not wanting to be lonely, or I can't find somebody else. However age they are, that threshold where I've gotten too old now, I gotta lock it in. This person is here, so I'm 42 or 38 or whatever their number is. And then there's some people who find the right person, and this is it. And I've seen both sides. I've seen people who, when you hang out with them, you just know that person is there. That's theirs. They found the person they're supposed to be with. It just works. And I've seen some people where I'm like, 2 more years. It's just like, yeah, this is not going to work.
But, you know, I think even though we're talking about this divorce and the divorce rate of what it is, I think the perception of divorce is not as negative as it sounds. You know, I think if there's like one thing that's constant about people, and as cliche as it sounds, it's change. And we change on a regular basis. Just because you break up from somebody doesn't mean it's a negative person or negative thing per se. I think sometimes it's just you learn all you possibly can from that person, and therefore it's time to move on. Because, you know, like we said, people change. Some people change together. Some people change apart. I think the thing that's negative about breakups is I think we harped on it either the first or second episode. I forgot what we're talking about. The oxytocin that gets released when you love somebody and you release that. So it's kind of like you're getting off of a drug addiction. But in all reality, if you look at it in the back of everything, I think that we view breakups as way tougher than it actually is and where it should be.
Yeah, I agree. I think people look at breakups as like, I messed up, it's a mistake, I failed. I think oftentimes there's a failure component to it versus a learning component. People take it as a loss, like I'm losing something. But if you take it as an opportunity that I learned something. Also, people look at, if I invested X amount of years into this relationship and now it's gone, I lost those years.
Right.
But not necessarily. Like if that time you were learning about yourself and how to be in a relationship, and maybe that prepared you for the next relationship, then you didn't lose. You learned.
Right.
I think when you wait, that's the problem. When you know I've invested all I can, and I've gotten all I can, and I'm at that point where now I need to move on, and you just don't, because you don't want to look like a failure, or you don't want to upset or hurt that other person, and maybe they're not wanting to let go. So that's another problem. It's like, well, they're still in it. They still are excited about seeing me, though I'm not excited about seeing them. But then that's all people need to do, is be honest about what's going on, and maybe that person will, oh, well, you know what, I didn't know that, and they would let you go willingly. Right. But yeah, I think a lot of people look at it as like, I failed, or there's a failure thing to it.
Right. And I think that's just that it comes back from like a perspective standpoint. Yes, I agree that maybe that relationship failed, but as a person, what did you learn from that? What did you grow from that? You know, if there's like one thing that I learned, like my very first relationship is my divorce, my marriage. You know, I left out of that. We got divorced. You know, I had to go through child custody things, child support things. And then I actually, you know, I'll fully admit it. And I went suicidal after for a little bit. Right. And you can look at that and be like, man, that's a really negative experience. But man, what I learned from that, from my ex-wife, is just, hey, like no matter what people are going to do, whatever they want to do, sometimes things just don't work.
Yeah.
And then, you know, for me being suicidal at that point, I learned that, you know what, like life comes as an appreciation, you know, like whatever you appreciate is what you make life to be.
Sure.
And then on top of that, I realized that why I went suicidal is because I was validating myself based off of what my ex-wife was doing or what I allowed her to do.
Sure.
And so at the end of the day, it's kind of made me realize that, hey, life's going to happen no matter what.
Right.
And how I decide to take it from there on out is how I decide to take on it from there on out, you know? And you got, like we're saying, you have these people that get through a breakup and they're like, oh my God, Johnny left me. What am I going to do with my life or whatever? But it's like your existence shouldn't depend and rely on somebody else. Your happiness shouldn't rely on somebody else. And I think that's kind of the reason why we're having quote unquote relationship problems now, is because I feel like people are using other people to validate themselves.
Sure.
And when we're in relationships, I feel like we're treating other people as an entity to ourselves rather as an entity to them. And that is getting into a lot of the problems. Like,
yeah, I think it's a validation culture, and it's always been, but I think more so now with social media and just even how we consume any kind of media. But it's not new because in a sense, you know, whether it's been religion or to a degree, just like the American way, kind of old standards and old like morals and morality, like, you know, there's a whole idea that still exists where, you know, people want you to marry a certain person or a certain look. You know, I know that's big in the Asian culture. They want someone. Also, and that's just another thing, is marrying in your race, marrying in your religion, marrying proximity. All those things are still things that people still have to deal with, even as your third, fourth generation in your culture or religion. But it's like, you don't get married for love. Like that's the thing I don't see ever being a problem. Okay. Like if someone just marries someone because they love them and I love you and we work, it's rarely. I would like to see the divorce rates of those situations, because a lot of times, like I said, if it's convenience, if it's I'm lonely, if it's religious, if it's cultural, whatever. Arranged marriages are still a thing today. If those things are happening, I would like to see the divorce rates compared to I am just in love with this person.
Right.
And then I think using another person to validate themselves is not love. And I think people confuse that. Like, you know, they love someone so much. Yeah, because you get something from them. But like true love is different and it's rare. So like if you are looking to this person to make you feel a certain way or give you something or be something for you that you didn't have as a kid, you know, whether it's daddy issues, mommy issues, that's unfair. You know, and I think the relationship problems that we see today stem from that. That's why I think we see such a proliferation into social media. And shout out to Instagram for getting rid of likes, because that's dope. I love that, because like people are posting things to get people to like them and to validate them.
Right.
So I think it's now people are starting to say, well, I have to actually have content, or I have to have some kind of integrity to myself and what I'm posting. It's the same thing in a smaller form in their life.
So do you feel like social media is one of the biggest reasons why people are breaking up on a regular basis? Or what do you think is on top of social media? I guess what else do you think? You said,
yeah, because I mean, like it's easy. I mean, whether it's, you know, even social dating apps or, you know, whatever. Our culture is very like, you know, 10-day trial. Our whole society is like that. What can I try for a little bit and then not get committed to it and then break away from it? You know, whether it's Netflix or, you know, Hulu or whatever, we're all about a free trial. But then relationships don't work that way, because when Netflix or Hulu, I can, you know, stop my account a day before I have to pay. Right. In a relationship, you still have residual effects. You know, we talk about oxytocin, the bonding. You still have like some residue of that relationship. So it's not like you're ever really breaking free from it. Right. So I think people are too quick to get into a relationship or get into things too quick that are relationship like, and then realize, oh, I don't want this. Right. And then dip.
But again, I mean, I'm going to go back to the point of saying that, you know, sometimes just because we break up, I don't think it's a negative thing. I think that is just something that you should learn from that person while you have it there and then kind of move on. I think that for me, how I perceive things and the things that I've been seeing as of late are people that have expectations and people that try to fit a mold into their own agenda, vice just handing people on a variable basis, because human behavior is as variable and unpredictable as it gets.
Yes.
So I mean, like, how many times have you seen, just kind of going by the social media outline that we're talking about, how often, like, all right, by week 3 we need this picture, by week 5 we need to travel here, week 7 we need to do this and this. So we're not trying to find, again, we're not trying to find an organic chemistry. We're not trying to pursue it naturally. We're trying to fit people into our own mold.
Yes.
Right. So like, and for example, again, like, how many times have you heard, well, I do this for him, why doesn't he do that for me? Right. And that's the worst. I don't know why you said him, but
No,
but that's, you know what I'm
it.
saying?
Yeah,
and then it comes back to like, well, because you're trying to love him based on how you want to be loved, not trying to figure out how they want to be loved and going that.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
And the thing is, again, we're going back to the whole validation thing. The relationships that I've seen that work on a regular basis are the two people that are independently happy and fulfilled on their own, and then they give to the other person because they love them that much and they don't expect anything in return.
Exactly.
And I feel like we're getting away from that. But it's like, again, we have this social media thing. We have this image that this couple has to project. And too many people are trying to fit that mold without having anything of real substance.
No, because that's what they see, you know, and it's like, I know Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith are like, they're kind of like a new model standard couple right now, because they live that way, as you said, two independent people who are independently happy in their own. And I think, as Will and Jada put it, they're sharing their journey together, but they make themselves happy. And then to your point about, you know, reciprocating love. Yeah, when someone's giving love in a certain way and then expecting something back, that's not love, right? So it's like, okay, it could be affection, you know,
right.
It could be, you know, intimacy, but true love is an action, and I'm not expecting anything back. And then, yeah, I'm trying to figure out, how does that person love? Now, there's a book called The 5 Love Languages. So when someone's really trying to figure out, is this person a person who loves physical touch? Do they love a quality time? Do they love, you know,
words of affirmation?
So then when you're trying to figure those things out, now you're really looking to try and love that person. You're not thinking about yourself at all.
Amen.
So that's the problem. I think people are like always looking to receive, and like, again, because they see something that they like. Maybe, so you see a couple, you know, oh, I like how, you know, they are with each other, and I want that. Okay, cool. But did you talk to them? Like, you're asking them? Or if you see someone on social media and you just see a picture or a video of them in Paris or whatever, oh, I want that. So you think about, I want to be in Paris. You're not thinking about the relationship. You know, you're not talking to those people like, what got them there. That could have been a 10, 15-year venture of them getting to Paris. And they went through all these ups and downs and struggles, and that was like this amazing time they got there. You just think they went there yesterday.
Right. You just have a small picture of what actually happened to get to that point.
And you write this own story and this own narrative, and now you just want that. But you don't understand what it took them to get there, and then why they look the way they do and what they've gone through. You have no idea. Right. So I think what you mentioned about organic chemistry, that takes time.
It does.
And people don't have time.
Right. And I think, you know, we're talking about, you know, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge. We talked about that. And I feel like because of that, and the fact that we always push towards options, we're like, hey, well, you know, how many times have you broken up with somebody and be like, oh, well, there's so many fish out in the sea. Yep. And you're right. So like, as soon as it seems like we look for reasons to actually break off and find something else. And it's starting to become a really bad problem, because it's like, well, how are you supposed to develop any type of real fulfillment in somebody else if every single time they do something you don't like, you're out of there, you're gone. Yeah. And it's like, well, and again, we'll go back to the selfish entity being like, well, you know, why doesn't he do this for me? Why doesn't he do that for me? Well, no, why should I change myself? But in all reality, two people are never alike. Two people, 100%. No. And I feel like you have to find like what it makes, like what they value, what you value, where you can compromise, where they can compromise, and have a constant discussion. Yeah. And you know what's crazy about the discussion and not even being clear with intent? I remember I saw this poll on Instagram, and I saw it on 2 different accounts, which says, if you think it's starting to become a relationship, should you tell them or should you just assume you're in a relationship? How crazy is that question?
Wow.
It's like, but the thing is, I saw it on 2 separate accounts. They don't even know each other.
Okay.
But the thing is, people are taking this poll and commenting on it as if it's just a normal question. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, if you got to even question or ask, what kind of a relationship do you have with that person? And again, that might be my own expectation for a relationship. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
I think if you're having, again, there's also some things that are unspoken. You know, there's energies and things you can feel, a vibe, a frequency with someone. And if you feel like, is this a relationship? They're probably having the same question too. So the fact that that's a poll is kind of interesting because I think we're getting so disconnected and disjointed from feelings and taking time to understand someone. We just want someone to tell us what it is. Mm-hmm. You know, the fact I can swipe left to right to determine if I want to spend time with someone. You know, it's we're looking at relationships like changing channels. You know, I'm not entertained by this, so let me go to something else, which is ridiculous. Right. It's mind-boggling to me that that's how quickly we can determine whether or not I want to hang out with someone. And that's basically just on a picture. You know, then you actually get into a situation where you're talking to someone and conversing and having, you know, dialogue. And then you can sometimes right away know, okay, this is not a good fit. But you're like, I'm just trying to get, you know, something from this person and then get on. Well, it's crazy.
Okay, well, I just want to know then with all that, Karmel, like, I guess when you're talking to a girl, when you meet somebody, you're dating somebody, what does it take for you? And what are the steps for you to be like, this is a relationship? And then I don't want to say what your expectations are because, again, like I said, I like to devoid myself of expectation because I don't think it's positive. But what is it that you kind of overall perceive your everyday action within a relationship and how do you build into that?
I think so. Initially, what I'm looking for, I guess, is I'm not looking for anything. Honestly, I honestly go in with just completely like a blank slate, mind clear, open to whatever's possible. There's always like initial attractions. That's just, of course, whether it's looks or personalities, it's something that just kind of happens again organically. But then when it starts becoming an idea of, is this a relationship possibility? I think it's a lot of the things that I saw in my marriage that bothered me, or things that kind of caused us to break up. Okay. Because one of the biggest things for me is integrity. Like, if I can't be myself around you 100%, then there's no point in having a relationship. Like, I never want to be around someone where I have to walk on eggshells or think twice about something I'm going to say or do. Like, and I want them to feel the same. Like, say something stupid. I don't care. Just be you. Like, then I can determine whether I like it or not. But, you know, but don't hold something back because you feel like I'm not going to like it or it's weird. I want you to be weird.
So was that, if you don't mind me getting personal, is that kind of like a problem in your marriage then, that you couldn't be yourself all the time?
Yeah, because, you know, like my marriage kind of grew out of, in and out of the church. So we kind of met in church. And a lot of the things that kind of formulated our foundation was a lot of church morals and church like ideals and things like that. And then I kind of, as I grew, I kind of not grew out of those things, but just saw them differently. But then when that's the foundation, it's kind of hard not to still feel beholden to those things. Right. But I kind of we both saw ourselves kind of differently as we grew, as we got older. And I got to a point where, like, I just don't want to keep doing something just because we started it this way. Like, I think that's one of the biggest things I've changed in my getting older is, like, I don't have to. You know, a lot of times people start something, and say, I got to finish it. No, I don't have to. Like, if I don't like something, even if I feel like, okay, I got this job or I bought this car or whatever. Like, I turned in my car the day that I just leased on. I don't want it anymore. Right. I don't have to finish it. I don't have to keep going. I want it. Like, a lot of things in our life we just keep doing because we feel like we're supposed to, out of just some weird obligation that we create in our own mind. But in that relationship, I felt like I was going through the motions. Right. And there were some times, even like one of the biggest things is when I started my foray into comedy. And the church in Hollywood, they really don't go together. Right. Even though, like, a lot of my initial gigs was in church, it was through an improv group that we were all church-going guys. But the more I got into acting and comedy, like, I just wanted more. And so that kind of I just saw, okay, this is not going to work if I'm, like, feeling torn all the time. I don't want to always feel torn.
So you're kind of like wanted to focus on your purpose and your drive towards that purpose.
Well, not even that. Just I wanted to be able to be me.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that was comedy, whether it was being an accountant. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. But if I feel like I have to like somehow hinder myself, then I don't want it.
Right. And then now you have 2 daughters with your ex-wife. 3 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I guess when you decided to get a divorce and everything, did you being a parent play any of that kind of role? Did it? I know for me it did, but I'm just wondering for you, and then we'll get into mine here in a little bit.
No, yeah. So I also have a son. So I have 4 kids with my ex. So it's it did, but then I also said to myself, okay, again, it goes back to like, well, you have to because of this. Nothing in this world should hinder me from doing what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I know there's some ideals about, oh, well, do it for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I'm not being 100% me, I'm not being 100% for my kids. So that's one thing I hold to this day in anything I do. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm not 100% me, I'm not giving my 100% to anybody.
Right.
So if I have to say, well, I'm not going to do this because I feel like this, and this for these other people or their ideas or what they think is right, mm-hmm. then I'm really being disingenuous. Mm-hmm. Again, that comes back to integrity. Right. So integrity is the biggest thing for me. So the kids, and all that came up, and of course the emotions behind that, and the connection and the family unit. Right. But if the family unit is like, but mm-hmm. we make it look like it's okay, mm-hmm. and you just keep doing then that's like, that's no go for me.
I know that when I was going through my divorce, that was, one of my concerns is my kids not being there all the time. Mm-hmm. And also, everybody tries to make their marriage work for their kids sometimes. And, mm-hmm. and that's a fair thing. But what I've seen, so one of 2 things from what I've seen is I've seen a lot of people try to make it work for their kids. And you could tell the parents that are there that are just stayed married for the kids, mm-hmm. and they become so absent in their marriage. Totally. And you could see they're just going through the motions like we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And it's like you could tell it affects the kids that way. Mm-hmm. I know that when me and my ex-wife knew that we're done, we're getting divorced, even though the kids things were brought up, I was like, well, what would I be as a parent to teach my kids to stay in something I'm not happy in? Because then all of a sudden I don't want my kids to be growing up like, well, my dad just stayed in something because he had to, quote unquote, and I'm going to do the same thing. Yeah. And I definitely don't want that. I definitely want to set an example from the beginning that you should pursue something that makes you happy 100%. And you should stay happy in it. And 100%. I think that's one of the huge things.
But that's hard to say often in the church, because the church, people have these ideas about marriage being sacred and da-da-da-da. But like, there's a difference between what the church says and what the Bible says. And that's a whole nother topic and discussion we'll get into. But again, like in the Bible, God says, be hot or be cold. Mm-hmm. Don't be lukewarm. Don't be down the middle. And a lot of people live a life in a family unit in a relationship with someone that they're just lukewarm in. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, I'm just doing this for the kids. That's the worst. Like, honestly, yeah, your kids can feel that. And I don't think that my kids are suffering as they could have if we just did this another 20 years and just like whatever. Mm-hmm. I think my relations with my kids are great right now. We have tons of fun. Everything's good. I see them every day. So, and I have a great relationship with their mom. So there's no ill will or bitterness. But there definitely could have been if I just stayed and just went through the motions. And 20 years later, I'm just filled with regret and like resentment. And so I'd rather not do that. I'd rather not be regretful or resentful or bitter. I'd rather just chalk it up. So, okay, not that it was a mistake, mm-hmm. but that, I tried it this way and now I'm going to try it this way.
Right. So since you've been divorced, have you been in any relationships or have you gotten anything serious since then?
Not really, man. And that's we kind of talked about this before in other episodes. Like, I'm very picky.
You should be, though.
Yeah,
you should be.
I feel like there's a way to go about it that some people do and some people don't. I'm not looking to, like, I've had people ask me, and women who I've talked to or had dates with who are about getting married, like out the gate. Whoa. And I'm like, like,
you must have got a really good first dating.
I'm a good first dater. So that's, I don't know. But so I was like, I'm not trying to get married. And then sometimes that often would kill the first date, or some people, okay, well, let's see where it goes. And like, maybe they'll convince me later on.
Well, see, that's the problem, right? Again, like we were talking about earlier, as soon as you have an expectation and it's not being met, you become disappointed. For me, every relationship I've ever been in, or every time I've ever thought about pursuing something serious, it's because that person inspired me to do so, and I think that a lot of people, again, get into that problem where I need to meet this person. They need to fit into my 5-year plan.
Yeah.
But it's like, this person has another 5-year plan. And even then, that 5-year plan changes within that 5 years.
Yes.
Because people change on a regular basis. And so every single time I've ever been on a date, I've ever been on a relationship or everything like that, it's always been, hey, day by day, this is going to happen. Like, all right, so what does today bring? Today brings tomorrow. All right, does tomorrow bring another thing? All right, does that tomorrow now bring another plan in the future? And then we can start building towards that. And it's like, it's every single day that keeps on building to the next day. And so, because it's like people that have been in like 20-year relationships, 30 relationships that are absolutely happy. You ask them, did you expect to be with this person 30 years ago? Now, like, no.
Right.
Hell no.
Right.
But then we have this weird, image problem that we got to fulfill. And all of a sudden, like, well, I want to be with this person for 30 years. I don't know where the voice came from, but I got to be with that person for 30 years. But, and it's like they don't realize that they're setting themselves up to fail.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say, like, every single day I go through something, it's like, oh, if I'm talking to somebody, like, do I want to text you tomorrow? Do I want to call you the day after? Do I want to do this, and this? Can I be real with you? Can I be honest? Can you handle my sarcasm? Can you handle my jokes?
Right.
Can you handle these other things?
That's the biggest thing I've noticed is if I start feeling obligated. Do I have to send a text? As soon as I feel that inkling, then I'm like, Like, I want to feel like I always want to talk to you, and you always want to talk to me. And that might be like a bit fairy tale-ish and a bit exaggerative, but I don't care. That's what I want. I want to feel like I don't ever want to get enough of you, and vice versa. If I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh, like I don't want that feeling, and I don't know where that comes from. But if like I feel like I'm iffy about seeing you, or I've got to see you, or whatever, then
I feel like, though, I mean, there's some times where that does happen, though.
Oh, sure. I mean, no one's perfect.
I mean, because there's some times where I look at my phone and it's like, man, Karmel Humphreys is calling me like, God damn it, I got to ignore this dude again. God damn, stop calling me at 2 a.m, Karmel. I get it. You got another 21st drink or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
But it goes with it. The ups and downs they got overall. And I think the thing is, again, because we're so quick to like dismiss things as soon as they're bad, this generation of dating has a lack of appreciation more than I've ever seen them before. Because it's, again, like everything that, as soon as it becomes negative, we're out. We're done.
Yeah.
But I mean, and you think about it, and again, you talk about the people that are actually happy, that are still together over the course of time. Like, dude, no, and it wasn't easy. This time was tough. This time was tough. And I've seen it, and maybe it's just human behavior and how we appreciate things. But every relationship I've seen that's been happy and that's actually developed into something long has had some type of adversity.
Oh, sure.
Where they always say like, well, absent makes the heart grows founder or whatever. And I think it's holds so true. And although everything isn't like rainbows and Skittles, so to speak, like you need a little bit of adversity to appreciate some of those things that happen.
Yeah, because then how do you know you really want this? Sometimes It's got to be something to push you, like, and that's what I'm saying. If I feel like that and I don't want to move forward, or I don't feel like this is something that's worth it, okay, then you don't. But like if I know there's going to be something I have to deal with, but I am excited about dealing it with you, like
right.
if it's something, because again, no one's perfect. There's always going to be issues, but there's things that you like, you have some people who say, I wish I didn't have a kid with a certain person,
Oh man, that's the worst.
You hear that a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but then I don't have that situation. So I appreciate my ex and my kid. I don't like calling my ex. I don't like that term. Right. It's just a negative term. But there's some people you kind of know right away. It's just for now. This is just fun. Okay. And you move on.
Right.
But then like, again, time passes and things move, or escalate or whatever. And you can feel like, okay, there's something here where, if it's an argument or if it's a debate or something that happens, and then you don't look at like I'm trying to, how should I say, win the argument, but really understand this person, that's a big difference.
Right. Yeah. And you're right, man. Funny you said that. I mean, I have said, when I was going through my things with my ex-wife, like, hey, I wish I didn't, have kids with her. But in all reality, what's the situation? That's the mother of my children for the rest of my life, no matter what I do.
Right.
So what can I do? I can either A, sit there and victimize myself and be like, oh my God, I wish I didn't do this. I regret this or whatever. Or be like, this is what it is. And how am I going to use that moving forward? Because that's the one thing. You can victimize yourself all you want, but at the end of the day, the only way to get through it is break through it and actually just accept it and find a better way. Yeah. I like how you harped on like, well, how can I learn and understand them? And I think, with my first relationship outside of my divorce, with this one girl who was very, it's ironic because she was a lot like my ex-wife, very, very attention, very pretty, very everything, but she was very attention seeking. Okay. And when any single time something was wrong with me and her, she would always go out, get attention from some other dude. And obviously those red flags left and right. Sure. But what did I learn from that? I learned the biggest thing again is that like, no matter what you do, no matter how insecure or whatever the heck I say, like they're going to do whatever the hell they want, no matter what. And I mean, I battled that through like 2 years and it should have never lasted 2 years. But the things I learned from it, well, first I learned how to dress really nice from there, which, I mean, I'll take pride in my outfits. I try. Okay. It's really nice. So when you have like children's sizes, so you can have discounted clothing, it's whatever.
And lots of options.
Yeah. I've been this size since like 6th grade. Like I was supposed to be like 6 feet and screw that doctor. Wow. Yeah. Anyways. Okay, well, hey. Yeah. But then, I got the, learn style, learn how to do that. Learn to not be superficial, because she was very gift oriented. I got to get Gucci this, Louis V that, this, and this. And although like I do like quality, like I think shoes and I think certain suits have to be quality. They don't have to be name brand, but they got to be quality. Right, sure. And it's like I'm anti that, but in learning that not be superficial, I don't buy people gifts anymore. What I do is I do things to experience things with them. Like with my kids, when we do Christmas or we do the birthdays, we always go do something. I don't get them like an iPad. I don't go get them like this brand new bracelet or whatever. And that goes with the women that I've dated since her. It's like, because as soon as they want something, I'm like, nah. No. We're not going to do this, especially when you can afford it on your own. Right. We can go take a trip to Vegas. We can go take a trip over to Hawaii or something like that. But you're not getting that I don't know, Tiffany's bracelet or Louis V or Fendi, whatever. Right. And then on top of that, I've noticed when I meet women that are all, label whores, so to speak, like I've already noticed like those things aren't going to work because that's just not who I am. Right. So I got that appreciation. And then the relationship after her was actually one of my best friends for like 5 years. And then, so you would think that's a great foundational relationship. And it was at one point, but then, she taught me a lot that people change. People change based on circumstance. Yep. And then, like I said, I can look at every single breakup and like, oh my God, we broke up. Things F that person, blah, 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 blah. But man, that adversity that I've experienced and what I've learned from those, individual experiences helped me carry on to like a more finite, like approach to how I approach women in relationships. Sure. And I feel like that's how it should be though. If you want somebody to be a part of your life in some major manner, you should be very selective. You should be picky. Yes. You shouldn't just be an open Facebook for everybody. Right. And you should be able to, keep things in.
But I think a lot of like, especially with dudes, they feel like, oh, just go after whatever. And I'm like, I've never been that person. I've always been a very hyper-focused, one, because I was in a relationship for so long. But even before that, I was never like dating a bunch of girls, never really been into that. Like I'm very hyper-focused on one person. So when I find someone or someone I spend time with, like, I don't understand how guys have multiple chicks they date at one time. And some women have expected me to be dating multiple women. Like, oh, I know you probably got 3 or 4 on the side. I'm like,
well, I feel, what?
Or 3 or 4. What are you talking about?
No, well, for me, so it's not that I dated 3 or 4. It's just I've always had the time where I've like talked to 3 or 4 at once. Okay. And the thing is, again, when I meet people, it's not like I want to like see where tomorrow brings or whatever. I mean, I do, but I'm saying like for me, monogamy is a very inspired feeling. Monogamy should not feel, and that's one of the things I value. I know that like it's kind of opening up relationships. There's a lot more polyamorous people these days, but I feel it's because I value monogamy, because I feel like I want that just to be our, I don't want to say my person, but I want that, that intimacy just to be with one person.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you come down and appreciate it. But that monogamy has to be inspired, and I meet a lot of people who are like, all right, well, this cool person to hang out with here and here and here.
Yeah.
This person is cool for this, this, and this. It's really tough to find somebody that's kind of like it'd be an end all be all, fits all roles of dynamic of people you want to be around. So that whenever I do settle down, or if I ever do settle down, however that is, that's a very calculated and very inspired feeling. So that, cause it's like how many times you go out and you see people like, man, if I was just single, I'll do whatever. I know that every single time I was happy in a relationship and I was monogamous, I was whatever, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cool, but I got this thing at home that's just waiting. Right. And I feel like that's I feel like that's a problem with a lot of people, is that they don't meet people that inspire them to be monogamous, and they use them for them. And as soon as they're done using them, like, oh, what's on to the next thing, without even letting them know, hey, I'm actually moving on to something else. Yes. And that's a big problem.
That's a good way to put it, is inspired. I think that's exactly how I should feel. I should feel like I'm not even thinking about going out or being, I wish I could be single. Like you dominate that feeling, that's you have placed yourself in my life in such a way where I'm not even thinking about that or even concerned. Like, you earned that part of my life. So that's a good way to put that.
It's definitely one of those things where people, I don't know. I feel like monogamy is tough, especially with so many like good looking people out there these days.
This is true.
But with that being said, and the thing is that's the thing is I know some polyamorous people, and they argue, hey, monogamy isn't natural. It is whatever. But this is the thing. Just because you have an urge for something else, it doesn't mean it's not natural. Just like how when you're on a diet or when you're exercising, you keep yourself strict to like what you can and cannot eat or whatever. You don't just go splurge on everything you want just because you desire it. That doesn't mean it's not natural. It just means it's an urge. It's a temptation, just like anything else in life. And sometimes in order to maintain order in your own life is you stay disciplined, and I mean, sure. Every time I've ever been with somebody, have I seen a lot of other attractive people? Absolutely. Sure. But it makes me appreciate that other person so much more because I don't go out and cheat. I don't go out whatever, regardless of how many star sevens we talked about, like how many that I've had. Right. Like I've never cheated on somebody I had an official title with. Like it's over. It's whatever. Even when I knew it was kind of over and I didn't break up, like I still didn't, because I still valued that. Yeah.
So that's good. That's rare. I mean, again, like in the day and age of having so many options and visual stimuli, there's a lot of people who just whatever. Like I have a lot of people who feel like, well, I don't have to be monogamous if I'm not married. Like there's a lot of sentiment where I'm technically single until I'm married. Even if I'm dating someone or in a relationship, they feel like, well, no, I'm still really single. They haven't put a ring on it. I haven't gotten married yet. And and to a degree that's true. But again, this also goes back to religion. Like you're saying I didn't go to a church and make a vow in front of a priest or go to a court and get a document to say that I'm in this commitment or a contracted relationship now. But you don't really need that. Honestly, like, and that's one of the things that have kind of like been a big thing with me. Like if in getting married the next time, I don't necessarily have to go to a court or to a church to say I'm married. Right. Like no one gets to decide that for me. Not a judge, not a priest, not anybody. If I say I'm committed to you forever, it can just be that way. Because if I need a ring or all this other stuff to prove that, then I'm not in it for you like that. Right. Like, I'm saying, well, okay, you guys hold me to this because I might want to break out. Like, I want to be in a situation where I'm telling this person I am committed to you for life because I said so. Right. If you need more than that, then I'm not the one.
Amen to that.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Like because like even rings, that's not a biblical thing. That's like De Beers and Cecil Rhodes created that back in the early 1900s.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So now wedding and so what they say, like you need 3 months salary for an engagement ring. That's a whole propaganda built way back in the early 1900s. Wow. So like, because Adam didn't get a ring from God. He just said, "Oh, this is my wife. Okay, that's it. You're done."
Yeah. On the same token, I love going to weddings. I know. Like, it's fun. I know we're talking. Weddings are fun. If I be all suited and booted, drinking, partying with everybody.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh, it's
I'll do it. I'll have one for the party. Yeah, the party's gonna be on.
Right, well, and that's the thing, right? I feel like a lot of people are ready to have a wedding, but not ready to be married. You know,
Oh, yes.
man, that's like one of the craziest
100%.
standards I've ever seen.
Dang.
But you know, like we're saying, to talk about the guests that we're gonna have to speak about this one. She is in an open marriage. And I have seen her to be really happy, so I cannot wait to actually learn from her because I'm not gonna lie. It's not that I have a negative stigma of polyamorous people. I just don't agree with it.
Sure.
I don't judge people for that.
No.
It's just something where I'm like, I try to look at it and I'm like, you know what? I don't think I could do it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of cultures, all through Africa, Asia, part of the Middle East, that's normal, and it's not even remotely looked at as being foreign or weird.
Right.
A lot of Western culture is more monogamous and all that. So yeah, I know a lot of people are moving more towards that because they say it's more natural. I don't know that it is. I think there's some possible benefits to it. I can see some things that could work. I can see a lot of things that could go wrong. So
right.
I'm interested to hear her talk about it. So
Definitely.
Maybe a dope combo.
All right. Well, this concludes this one. Hope you guys have the good rest of your weekend. And yeah.
All right.
We out.
Peace.
Doof.